People are scared of change, and there is a good reason for it. Research in neuroscience says that uncertainty and change is registered in our brain in the same way as error is. So if you think about it, the natural tendency that we have is to eliminate the error, to eliminate the uncertainty. Now, technology has always been a huge driver of change. If you think about cars, modern medicine, antibiotics, in the beginning, people weren't that keen on these changes. But eventually, in hindsight, I think we can all agree that they've largely been good for our society. Now, right now, as I stand here, the situation is completely different when it comes to social media. And the script was kind of flipped here, because initially, we welcomed social media because it's this force that is connecting people around the globe. Everyone's going to be friends, everyone's going to know what we are up to. It's great, right? But not so much. Rigged elections, distorted beauty standards, privacy invasions, the monopolistic tendencies of the big tech, ruined relationships. Social media has gone from friend to foe in a finger click. And I wasn't sent here by Facebook or TikTok to say, hey, social media is amazing. But I just disagree with the way that we respond to it. Because I think that we treat social as this uncertainty that we want to eliminate, right? Because we don't know how these algorithms work. We don't know where they come from. But to me, the response that we have is just to close our eyes and pretend that social media is not happening. It's just wrong. And it's going to set you back. And I have an example of how this is happening. And this comes from my family. I'm an older brother, and I have a teenage sister, right? And every time she misbehaves, like, I don't know, doesn't clean her room, does badly at school, or does some teenage stuff that I don't know, my mom takes away my sister's smartphone, taking away her social media. And the thing is, she takes it away with the same face that she used to make when she wouldn't let me go out with my friends back in Ukraine where I was growing up. But even though for her it's the same action, the result is completely different. Because right now, if you take the phone away from a person from Generation Z, then you don't just take away their connectivity with their friends, you take away everything. Because social media has entered pretty much every sector of their lives. Just think about it. On Pinterest is where you go to find inspiration for your homework or just for yourself. Facebook is where you go to check in with friends, right? Twitter is where you go to find out what's happening in the world. TikTok is where you go to have fun. And then something like LinkedIn is where you go to grow your network and further your career. So taking away the smartphone is taking away everything from these kids, as they'll be quick to tell you. And I think it's not just about kids, because the way we have built this relationship with social media, I don't think it works for us, because people are scared of uncertainty that it brings. This is why we have the screen time, right? This is why we take digital detoxes. This is why we're proud of being off the grid, of being offline, right? Because we're not controlled by these algorithms. That way we regain control by eliminating this uncertainty. But to me, this is wrong. And if you do this, then this is going to cost you. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that there is money in social media. That conversation was had 5 years ago, right? We all know that Jeffree Star has a $14 million mansion. We all know that David Dobrik is giving away Teslas every day to his followers, all of that stuff, right? There is money there. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I don't want to tell you about the D'Amelios or the Kardashians. I can talk about myself, right? I moved from Ukraine 10 years ago, went to law school, I was working as a corporate consultant, and then suddenly I have developed this interest in social media and communication. So I started a podcast that no one listened to, aside from my grandma, who was just viewing it so that I feel good about my views. And then I discovered this platform called TikTok, where I thought I'd be making videos about how it's good to read books. And I brought this to my teenage sister, who thought that it was a horrible idea, who thought that I was too old and too boring to be on the platform. Now, in hindsight, I guess she was wrong, because right now I have 2 million followers on the platform, and more than 1 billion times my videos have been viewed. And since then, a few months ago, I kind of had a realization looking at my bank account statement that I'm making 3 times my corporate salary through my work in social media. So then I quit my job and started an agency that helps businesses and organizations reach Gen Z. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's still a lot of racism on social media. There's still classism. There's still the pretty privilege that my grandma thinks applies to me, although not everyone agrees. But this is the representation of our society, right? But my story of finding myself on social, or finding a part of myself on social media, is actually much more common than you think. And there is real money there. There is $15 billion valuation that influencer economy is expected to reach by 2022. This number increasing to 25 billion by 2025, making it one of the largest sectors in our economy, in the US and in Europe. And of course, there's many professions that earn money, private equity, banking, all of that stuff. But they aren't as desired as a career in social media is. Latest research conducted in the US shows that in the US, for the teens there, video blogger is their dream job. And it's a similar situation here in Europe. So people, well, kids and teenagers dream of making social media their career. And this dream is actually beating the dream of becoming an athlete, the dream of becoming an actor or an actress or an astronaut, the moonshot careers of the past. And the good news is that it's much more attainable than the other ones, right? If you think about becoming an athlete, that's years of tough, brutal training when you're a kid, and then an element of luck to get drafted. To become an astronaut, you need a certain lung capacity, so there are some kind of DNA limitations, right? When it comes to social media, I'm not saying that it's a walk in the park to become an influencer, and of course you're competing with pretty much everyone, with barriers to entry being super low, but it's definitely more doable than me becoming an NBA player, right? And just to put it in perspective for you, there are 568 people who have gone to space in the history of humankind. 568. Right now, just on Instagram, there are 500,000 influencers right this minute. So this is much more doable and more desirable. At the same time, of course, some people still want to be lawyers, engineers, doctors, sometimes to please their immigrant parents, sometimes for their own kind of internal and innate drivers. And my point is that even if you're going for a traditional career, you can't escape social media. And if you do, that puts you at a disadvantage. Because there are lawyers and doctors and engineers who are making videos on TikTok, furthering their career opportunities, building their network, increasing their media presence, and charging their clients more. Even Elon Musk, if you think about it, the richest person on the planet, is using his account on Twitter to make nation-state level plays in the market, right? So everyone from Elon Musk to grandfluencers who are kind of grandmas and grandpas who are having fun on the internet and sustaining their living, make social media part of their life, part of their job, right? And then to me, I think that if you don't do that, you're just missing out. And the other day, I was working on helping scientists who actually have created the COVID vaccine understand TikTok and understand how to fight misinformation on this platform. And when I was doing that, I thought how ubiquitous social media has become. And I think the pandemic has only accelerated this process. Now, we all remember the stories of the first lockdowns when the chefs whose restaurants have shut down went on Instagram live streams to show people their recipes and show their work. When Airbnb hosts who couldn't rent out their apartments had to do virtual tours of their place on Instagram Live or on TikTok Live. So right now, the society is moving towards this virtual commercial model, right? And if you think about the revolution in virtual work that was supposed to be taking place for years, it was achieved in just a matter of months. Online schooling, none of this is going back, okay? And I think right now, as far as your skill set goes, it's very important to stand out, right, in the crowd. And I think that crafting a perfect DM on Instagram or any other social media platform, addressing the person you admire professionally is a more important skill than having a great cover letter or a polished resume. So I'm not saying that social media is good. I'm not saying that everyone should be on it. I'm just asking a question. Next time, when you take away the smartphone of your kid, or if you just open your screen time to limit it further, ask yourself a question. Why are you doing this? And if you're doing this because you're scared of the uncertainty that it brings, I implore you to get over that. Because we all need to learn to live and thrive with social media, and we need you there. Thank you.